All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We are talking about the Cowboys. We're specifically talking about one of my more intriguing favorite players from a couple of years ago with the Detroit Lions, where he bursts onto the scene as a rookie, has like 8 sacks in 7 football games, and now he's with Dallas, and he's up to like over 4 sacks this season. He's top 10 in the NFL, and he's just disrupting plays. And we're seeing he's more of a pass rush specialist, but we're seeing his snap count increase on a week-to-week basis. He's like a top 20 rated player at his position per PFF, and I think he just plays with such good intensity. And I know right now the Cowboys defense still working out some kinks, but James Houston on this particular stunt, lined up back, and he's gonna, kind of fake going inward, bust out to the edge, and he's going to bring Justin Fields down with the sack. And just for simplicity purposes, I'm just going to say, positional groups or numbers just to not confuse anybody. But this, for example, this is Osa. You got Solomon Thomas here. They're cutting inward, all right? And now James Houston's going to make his break. And what this does is Isaiah Davis here, he's just going to go completely unblocked. Their right tackle, these guys are moving in. They're collapsing this pocket so much. They just break so in. And so now the center is occupied, the right guard's occupied, the right tackle's occupied, but nobody's in a good position to block James Houston, so nobody does. Now, if you're Justin Fields, keep in mind, look at where he's looking. He's looking on the left side of the field, so maybe you want to take this check down here. You also keep in mind, like, as far as game situation goes, it's 3rd and 19. They need a big chunk of yards. We're early on in the second quarter here. Dallas is up 10-3, but Fields doesn't even see Houston running this stunt. He's not even looking in Isaiah Davis's direction, and that allows Houston to just bring in Justin Fields for an extremely easy sack. And once again, I love this stunt. Occupy the entire offensive line, specifically the interior offensive line. Run out. He's quick. He's powerful. He's obviously strong, and he brings Justin Fields down for a 10-yard sack, and the Jets now have to punt. So without further ado, hit that like button. If you guys want more Cowboys content, let me know down below, but let's get into this James Houston film study. So we go a little bit later on in the half. Less than a minute left. We got James Houston out here. Now, this is going to be a collapse sack with my former Green Bay Packer, Kenny Clark. Fun stunt here once again. You're going to have number 97, Osa. He's going to cut inward immediately, all right? Kenny Clark, he's going to cut inward, but he's eventually going to be able to work his stunt around, take down Justin Fields, and you're going to have a one-on-one essentially here with number 70 and James Houston a little bit later on in the clip. But this Cowboys defense, I know, like, for example, they're dead last in opponent passing yards per game. They're 23rd against the run. They only have 10 sacks this season. James Houston has almost 50% of them. But once again, here's the play. All right, so we got, Osa cutting inward. So now what we have is, and he's going to keep pushing in. He's just going to keep pushing in. He's going to actually run into this right guard here. And what this has is Kenny Clark is able to just move on out, and Justin Fields helps him out and kind of steps into this. We know he's a big runner, and just from this angle, we've got a lot of open space. But what I like about this stunt in particular is you've now got the left guard he's got to go to the next guy, and that's the edge rusher, all right? I can't tell if this is Dante Fowler with this, but basically it just occupies this whole left side of the offensive line. James Houston one-on-one with the right tackle. But Kenny Clark, he's able to just come on in here and bring him down. Now, James Houston on this side, he's going to take a very, very, very wide angle on Justin Fields here. Sees this happening. He's not even going to go up against number 70. He just sees this happening. He sees this big gap right here. So he's going to cut in. Kenny Clark's already got him wrapped, and he's going to come in here and bring him down to the ground. So another nice sack for the Dallas Cowboys defense. So we're going all the way back to the first possession. We got James Houston here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys here on the line of scrimmage. Number 59 is actually going to drop back into coverage. Now, this ends up being like a 17, 18, I think it's 17-yarder to Garrett Wilson. But the Cowboys defensive line puts so much pressure on Justin Fields, and he actually just makes a really nice quick read. You see Shamar James's hand get up here. He's had a phenomenal season. Maybe that should be our next video. And it ends up being, in this zone coverage, ends up being a nice little completion. But when we look at James Houston out here against a really good young right tackle, He just powers him. Now, this is 3rd and 5, and this is usually where you see James Houston is in obvious passing downs. And so that's why you see his snap count was like more sore towards 10 to 15 in the first game, and then it's just slowly gone up in increments, and we saw a little bit above 25% defensive snaps for James Houston this past week. But this is stuff like 3rd and 5. I know this particularly is the first possession of the game. You need players to make big-time plays a little bit later on, right? We just tied. My Packers and the Cowboys just tied a couple of weeks ago. You know, having like a James Houston overtime sack, having a James Houston 3rd down sack with 2 minutes to play, they need a stop. That's where it comes on in. But you're going up against the right tackle here. He just powers him. Now, once again, the whole defensive line gets to Fields here. Shamar on this blitz, number 50, gets picked up last minute. Justin Fields has to quickly react, and he actually does, and Fields just makes a great throw. Looks like he even gets a little bit high, has to throw this a little bit weird. But we see right here, James Houston's right up there. If Justin Fields decides to not throw this football, Houston or somebody on this Cowboys defense is going to bring him down for a sack. So we only recently started making Dallas Cowboys videos, and I'm a little bit bigger on, like, we started right when Kenny Clark got traded, because I don't think I'd ever really made more than maybe 1 or 2 Cowboys videos in my whole 3,000 NFL last couple of year archive. But this defense is getting better on a week-to-week basis, and obviously, you know, the tie against Green Bay is kind of a big win, or it's viewed as a win for Dallas, a big, really annoying. Like, I know it's the 3rd time I've said this as a Packers fan, but that game was infuriating. I hate ties just in general. And then we saw a 15-point win against the New York Jets here. Now, we got James Houston over here. Number 54 here, Sam Williams. He's going to end up getting the sack on the right guard here. Look at this move he makes. Just a quick, he gets to Justin Fields so unbelievably quick. I mean, this is a great pass rush. Looks like he's right hooking him. Swims right on past him. But then, obviously, we're talking James Houston. So you're going against Membao, right tackle. Look at this move that James Houston makes. He just bats the hand. He just bats the hand, and then he's going to dip his shoulder, low center of gravity, and now Membao's got nothing. So if 54 Sam Williams isn't here for the sack, James Houston would have gotten this sack. Right, so we're seeing this. One-on-one, they both win it, and they bring Justin down. But I really like I just like the small stuff in football. We all know, we all hear it all the time. It's a game of inches. But I have so much fun breaking down this all-22. And by the way, hit that like button if you haven't already. Post plenty of Cowboys videos on this channel. If you guys want a specific film study for any other Dallas Cowboy, let me know down below. But I love that hand movement. I love that he's getting a low center of gravity, unblockable, and they bring a collab sack down. Or it's actually a Sam Williams sack, but you get the point. We've covered the Detroit Lions on this channel for many years now, and James Houston was a player where, you know, honestly, health more so got in the way, and it was really disappointing that they didn't bring him back for his 3rd year, and then he ends up going to Cleveland, and now obviously he's with Dallas. But one thing that you kind of notice with James Houston in the last couple of years is just the development of more tricks in his bag, and that's what makes you see the field more. You know, you don't want to be a one-trick pony, and once again, we've been saying his snap count has been increasing every single week. Well, right here, it's an obvious passing down, but it's 1st and 10. There's like 51 seconds left in the first half here. And you see, once again, we're going up against the youngster, Armin Membao, right tackle, hand movement right here, but he's going to spin out of this, and he does a great job. And then Dante's right behind Justin, and they're trying to get this ball out quick. They're trying to get it out of bounds. There's only 50 seconds left here. But you're just seeing him gain more tricks in his back. I keep thinking of more clever ways to say that. This was a really phenomenal football game from James. He had a sack and a half. He had 5 total quarterback pressures. He saw the field on over 25% of his plays, and I just think the sky's the limit for him, especially in these pass rushing downs. And, you know, he made a big-time play against Jordan Love for that strip sack fumble, and I just think you're going to continue to see that as the season progresses for Dallas. So, folks, that's all we're going to talk about in today's video. Once again, hit that like button if you enjoyed. It goes a very long way. Let me know your thoughts on James Houston down below and any other Cowboy film study you would like to see. That's it from me. Peace.